this year's cost, and I'm recommending that we approve the SRO contract.
And I want to thank Mr. Clay and Mr. Wilkes for putting that meeting together, because it was very informative, and it addressed some concerns that the public has, like the vehicle, you know, what he's planning on doing, and the type of resource officers that we can have in the schools, and I think it will be satisfying.
Motion to accept.
Motion by Mr. Coche, second by
Richard.
Coche. Let's vote. Motion passed. Item 2B, consider and or recommend action with regard to purchasing buses. Mr. Chevalier.
Yes, sir. Last month, we did put in a request to, to consider and have a recommendation to purchase buses. I did provide you guys with the total amount of funds that it would cost to purchase buses with AC and buses without. So the difference is $64,000 with AC versus without. To retrofit any bus, it costs between $18,500 to $20,000. So
Now, would y'all thinking about doing some retrofitting or similar?
maybe after this year, we'll look into grants and to see what's available.
With the retrofit, and Mr. Lucas here somewhere, are we able to use bond money on retrofitting buses? No.
I think we discussed that
I
last.
think so.
Yeah, because of the,
Not retrofit, but we could use buses,
for buses.
new buses.
That is correct.
So what I did was I reached out to Ms. John and Ms. Tina, and I know that they had researched it, but we missed the cutoff for applying for a grant that would basically bring our buses, I guess, energy efficient. So what I did was I set myself a reminder, there's a grant that basically what you could use it for is to retrofit buses. So what we'll do is next year, once that grant cycle comes up, we'll work to apply for that grant, and hopefully we can secure it like we've done with some of the other grants that we've had in the past, and we'll begin that process of retrofitting buses that we do have. So what we, eventually, my hope is that eventually we'll have every single bus, our older buses that will have air conditioning, and if we begin the process based on my recommendation and what I agree with John and Ms. Tina is to purchase buses with air conditioning moving forward so that our entire fleet will be equipped with air conditioning as we progress.
Motion to purchase the buses with AC and in the future, continue purchasing what we can afford with AC.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion to accept by Mr. Coche, second by Mr. Coche. Any more discussion? Let's vote. Motion passed. Item 2C, consider and or recommend action with regard to fund balance policy. Ms. Crusoe.
We recently went through a bond rating call with S&P. And one of the things that was discussed on the call is that because we've had deficit years over the past couple of years, we have essentially, which I presented to you during the budget discussions, we have used up all of our unassigned fund balance. So the board has a policy that commits 25% of our current year expenditures to, it's considered assigned, non-spendable. They asked for our policy regarding that, and when we looked into the policy, they found it to be too restrictive because in the policy, it states that it's only for natural disasters. So they thought 25% committed just for that specific reason was a bit much. And they downgraded us to an A+ negative instead of A+ stable because we have no more unassigned fund balance. So one thing that we discussed was lowering the percentage that's committed to just natural disasters and allowing the other 15% to be used to meet budgetary needs as we've seen we've needed in the last couple of years.
We need to come live down here and see.
Is that something we need to vote on?
Yes, that is. It's voting to change the policy from 25% to 10%.
And your recommendation is change it to 15%?
Changing it to 10% and
10%.
leaving 15%
Or
for being able to meet budgetary needs. Like, so when we have a deficit year this year, you have to have funds available to offset that deficit. And without doing this, we can't because all of those funds are committed or assigned for this purpose.
I'll motion to accept.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Potteet, second by Mr. Fusilier. Any more discussion? Let's vote. Motion passed. Item 2D, consider and/or recommend action with regard to reduction of pupil appraisal staff work hours to 7 hours per day. Ms. Jordan.
Mr. Clay. Ms. Jordan, you here?
Right here.
Okay. There we go. Were you the one that put this on the agenda, or you?
Well, as I spoke to Ms. Casey, she placed it on the agenda because they fell under my watch.
Okay.
And, because of the concerns with pupil appraisal and their index being decreased.
Okay, I would like before we start any conversation, I'd like to Mr. Boyd to explain something before we start, and if they want to continue, we'll move forward.
Yeah, as we discussed earlier, I think there's an expectation that they're full-time employees. Part of labor considers full-time employment 40 hours a week. After 40 hours, you start to get overtime if you're a non-exempt employee. These obviously are exempt positions, so I think you can do this, but you have to move them from being considered a full-time employee to something less than full-time, because they won't meet that Department of Labor standard of 40 hours per week.
So, do you understand that if,
No, I didn't.
okay, basically, if, let's say this, the reduction would happen, it would be considered part-time and no more full-time. Somebody's mumbling, I mean,
Speak up.
but,
Is there,
go ahead, Ms. Jordan.
you said part-time versus
I think they're just less than full-time.
even if they're, well, they can explain it better. I you know,
I kind of know something
I'm
about
not
labor,
gonna-
I ain't no attorney, but I know about the fact. If you work less than 30 hours a week, it's not considered full-time. We might get our information from different spots, but if we deducted 1 hour, which that'd be 35 hours, they still consider full-time employees.
So
They
the
still
third,
consider
the
30
third,
hours or less, is not considered
That's for
full-time.
benefits.
So you don't have to buy insurance for them, you don't have to.
That's
Yeah,
considered for
I got business with
benefits.
100 employees. I know, I can tell you that they
yeah,
were,
the 30-hour
I do
threshold,
that every day.
30-hour threshold applies to benefits. So as long as they reach 30 hours, they're entitled to full benefits.
yeah, that's correct. So, are you gonna
Is that-
give them an
You mentioned something about the index changing.
Yeah, could I get one of the ladies who, they really did the research to come and discuss? Yes.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity for us to address the board regarding the reduction in the workday for the pupil appraisal staff. I'm Wendy Brett. I'm the pupil appraisal and child search coordinator for the pupil appraisal staff. Most of our pupil appraisal staff is here with me in the back row. So this past spring, our office or our department contacted the administrative staff to express concerns regarding pay disparity, specifically the fact that per hour, pupil appraisal are compensated at a lower pay rate than those on the teacher salary schedule. At that time, administration was provided with multiple points of data to illustrate that disparity and support our request for the reduction of the workday from an 8-hour day to a 7-hour workday. Essentially asking for our workday to end at 3:30 rather than 4:30. A reduction of the workday at that time was requested rather than an increase of pay, knowing that the budget is of utmost concern at this time. So on the last day of our pupil appraisal school year, before the break for the summer, administration did announce to us as a pupil appraisal department that based on the data that we provided to them, that a reduction to a 7-hour workday was appropriate, and it was approved. We returned to work with the approved workday hours of 8 to 3:30. Those with children already having planned for or not planned for provisions for their children in the afternoons based on the new work schedule. But by the end of that same day, our first day back at work, our department was advised that the reduced work hours were not going to be honored, and instead, board approval would be needed to be obtained. And so here we are to present to you all the same data that was presented to administration and used by them to make this determination that the reduced workday for pupil appraisal was appropriate. Okay? And so I think you have all of these charts that we presented to them in your packet. The first one we have, or that I'm going to go over to you, is this one here. And so this is what we originally presented to them. So some time ago, it was found, realized, determined that pupil appraisal staff are being compensated less per hour than those on the teacher salary schedule. So when you're looking at this chart that we created, we did a comparison of teacher pay per hour versus pupil appraisal pay per hour. We did it at 0 years experience, so coming in.
So you're comparing yourself to teachers? Yes or no?
Just the pay per hour,
So it's yes.
the pay per hour, the salary schedules. We did it at 0 years of teaching, so just coming in, 20 years, and 30 years of experience. We compared a master's plus 30, and a specialist. And we didn't do any less than that because for pupil appraisal, the minimum is a master's, okay? And so when we look at the comparison and difference in pay per hour, that's the column on the right, you see. Now the chart at the top shows the comparison that was made prior to the salary schedule change that was done in July. And then the bottom one is following that salary schedule change. And you can see that the difference in pay per hour actually increased after that salary schedule changed in July. And so those are dollar amounts. And so in some cases, there's almost a $3 difference per hour pay between those who are getting paid on the teacher salary schedule versus pupil appraisal.
I can ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
Okay, do y'all do recess duty, lunch duty, afternoon duty, like the teachers?
No.
Okay. That might be the reason why teachers get paid a little more.
They don't
And-
get paid,
and look-
they get paid more than the teachers, not per hour, but I'm telling you, they make just as much as assistant principals and the high school principals. Assistant principals, y'all had the packet, I gave you last year. Assistant principals and principals from junior high on down. Most of y'all are making more than them. I mean, I'd be happy if I was y'all. Plus, y'all just got a $2,400 raise. In addition to the $2,400 raise, y'all got indexed also. So that's 2 raises you got.
I understand those points.
Okay.
I understand those points.
Supplements too?
We do. So if you don't, if we can get through it, and then we can.
For just not the work?
No, sir, we're not. We're asking to be compensated comparably.
You are.
But I thought we
Were
gave a
you, were
raise
y'all
we
under
gave to
contract, did y'all
everybody.
sign a contract?
We have professional contracts like the teachers.
What did you contract?
As far as what?
40 hours a week? 5 days a week?
And when you're a
From what I
salary
recall,
employee, they move by dollar, because
Right.
all the guys that I work with at a salary, during certain times of the year, they work 100+ hours a week. I mean, and listen, for those who in your department, who do the great job that they do, keep on doing it, I thank you. But it's the ones that aren't doing it and giving you a department that everybody's looking at, maybe you might want to start talking to your coworkers and tell them, look, this is the reason why things are happening this way. And again, those that are working, and we know, we have a lot that listen, they have some of you guys that probably work 100 hours. But at the same time, if we give you a 7-hour day, I can guarantee you, next meeting, here comes maintenance, here comes assistant principals, here comes principals. So then you have to do it for everybody.
Well, I'm going to continue on with the points because we were asked to show the justification for that, and we do have multiple
Well, I
points.
read it, and I actually did research, me personally, I did research, found out about evals, all this, everything, gifted, talented, speech, all of it. I checked into it, and again, those that are doing their great job, please keep it up.
So can I continue or?
Yes,
we-
ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, please do.
So it is important to understand that pupil appraisal are not, staff are not teachers. We are not. Our roles require specialized certifications that go above and beyond teacher training. Okay. We provided you guys with the credentials of all of us that are required for pupil appraisal positions. All pupil appraisal personnel have a minimum of a master's degree. Psychologists, the school psychologists, the social workers, and other team members are considered specialists as per their licenses and certification requirements. We are specially trained to analyze data regarding student performance, conduct specialized assessments, conduct special education evaluations, use evaluation data to make recommendations regarding student needs, and translate evaluation results to schools, parents, and other stakeholders. It should also be noted that in addition to the teacher pupil appraisal hourly pay disparity, as Ms. Jordan indicated, there was a reduction of our index from 1.315 down to 1.19.
And why was that?
At the time, it's because they requested to work 10 less days. So at the time that we started indexing everyone off of the teacher's salary schedule, they had a request that had been requested multiple times and denied to reduce the number of days that they work. And so at that time, when we were readjusting the index rates, theirs was less because we reduced the number of days that they worked a year. They went from 202 to 192, I believe, if I'm speaking that. 210 to 202.
210?
212.
212.
It was 10 days less a year.
Was that the
Their-
3 weeks?
Their index still did
We went
allow
from
for
3
them
weeks before and after to 2 weeks before and after.
Makes sense.
So there's something that was brought to the board for us to change? We did that?
Yeah, it was approved by the board.
I
We
don't
approved the
remember.
index.
Oh, I don't.
We
remember
didn't.
Did
Yeah,
we approve
the index
the
wasn't
days?
requested
Yes, because that was
for
all
index just the
presented in
time.
the same meeting and it was all laid out with the number of days.
So when you change the index, do the years stay the same or?
Yeah. Nobody's years on the teacher salary schedule changed.
Okay.
They just want to-
So we also presented administration with a chart showing the pay of several surrounding parishes and another chart showing the hours worked by pupil appraisal staff in several parishes throughout the state. So I'll turn it over to my coworker, Ms. Tanya Lajani, who's going to go over those two
One
charts.
last question, on the index part of it, there's one parish missing, St. Lambert, was there a reason?
These are just the ones we
There's a
pulled.
misprint? Because on the other one,
The other one has several other pairs. These were just the ones we were able to get in touch with someone to give us that information. So Ms. Lajani is going to go over those two next.
Hi, my name's Tanya Lajani, I'm an educational diagnostician here, St. Martin Parish. So on the surrounding district index salary comparison chart that you see, this was done just to show our salaries compared to the surrounding parishes. I used my data of 12 years experience going into this coming year. I'm on my 13th year. So this is personalized towards me, but it would be adjusted to whoever was using it for their, the column, because we do have specialists, but also to their years of experience. I did place Masters plus 30 because I am continuing my education, and in October, I will have completed my Masters plus 30. So if you see, St. Martin has two colors. The top color was what we had prior, and then it was, I redid and updated the chart in July whenever we had the increase in the 2,400. So it shows you that. Some parishes also give their educational diagnosticians surplus bonuses for having national accreditation. So that's the two that you see there. And then we didn't know some of the sales tax or the supplements that they gave, but we did put the ones that we knew, or the ones that were actually posted and published on the websites. So what you can see here is what their indexes are in the surrounding parishes, and then what the salaries are after that. And then I did not add the 2,000 that's coming from the state. I didn't add that to the sales index because we don't know if that's going to continue from year to year. That may be taken away. So I just put that as a note at the bottom. On the next chart is the surrounding district hours comparison. We polled some of the pupil appraisal teams from around the state, and these were the hours that they gave us, along with some of them gave us their lunch times as well. There are no other parishes that we polled that had an 8-hour workday. None of their pupil appraisal teams had an 8-hour workday. Acadia is only 4 days a week. So they have increased hours to make up for them having their Mondays off. So it should be noted that, and it is noted that Acadia Parish is Tuesday through Friday for a 4-day work week.
Now, you compare apple to apple, so how many students, they have to appraise per week?
How many students do they have appraised per week? We don't really.
Short hour days. See, we might have more students, they might have less students.
I did not break it down to
That's what I
that,
need to
but
know.
if you notice that even the larger parishes on there are still not 8-hour workdays. I do know that Ms. Wendy has the data to show, we don't break it down by week, but we do have our caseloads that we turn in at the end of the year. First to Ms. Mitchell and Ms. Jordan, and now to Ms. Jordan. We give all of that information to her at the end of the year.
I've never lot of appraisal. I guarantee with my kids.
Okay, and let me tell you, so being that you're saying that, so
It was always.
the information I was looking into, just looking at some numbers, looks like August, September, October, there's not as many evaluations. Was I reading that correctly, or am I wrong?
No, we still have
Oh, I'm not
evaluations.
saying
We're taking in new students at that time.
But at that time, that's when the RTI is in effect, right? For the most part, right?
We're reevaluating students at that time.
We're reevaluating students at that time. Yeah.
Reevaluating students, and we start in August.
Because the numbers are
We're open.
a lot less.
Depends on SPLC meetings
Yeah.
as well.
We're starting with our SPLC meetings. We're looking at our students. Sometimes we have extensions that we take at the end of the year that we weren't able to complete in the timeline fashion. So we take an extension for the summer extensions. So we can come back at the beginning of the school year and complete our data and our findings, and then disseminate those evaluations at that time.
We also do talented in the fall of every year, so we have our talented evaluations.
So our talented
Right, and that's
evaluations.
done by the individuals, right?
No, we each have a caseload of talented cases that we do.
What about speech?
We do speech to.
Speech there, on the reval, I'm talking about.
On the revals, no, the speech therapists do their reevaluations.
And on the talented.
And on talented, the teachers
I'm
do.
talking about reval.
If they're not in services, we do them. If they have opted out of services, we do those reevaluations.
And the gifted, same thing.
Same thing.
I got a question. I see something here, students not enrolled in St. Martin Parish School Board System. What are those, who are those students?
Yeah, so, and we were gonna get to that.
Yeah, we had.
Any students that are on, home study that have, dropped out, or they finished, high school but are before the age of 22 and are still eligible to return to school, we're doing those. And we also do the 3 to 5 year old population, evaluations as well. And all the private schools
I
that
have a
we
question for
cover.
Ms. Jordan.
Go ahead.
Ms. Jordan, and if you don't know the answer just yet, please just tell me. What is the pupil appraisal formula for staff?
For educational psychologists, it's 1 to 2,400.
And with that number there, are we overstaffed?
We're not overstaffed because of the fact we
we should have 3 educational psychologists. But we're unable to find the psychologists. So therefore, that's why we have additional educational diagnosticians.
And the only reason why I asked is because that came circulating, that,
Yeah.
that department was overstaffed. So I figured I needed to make sure that it came from you.
Yes,
And I-
Also, if I can
not-
make
not
a-
locker room talk.
okay.
If I can make a point on that as well, when you're looking at the total number of population for the parish, all of those evaluations we do for those students who are not enrolled, those in home study, the what we call the babies, the 3 to 5-year-old population, those in the private schools, those are not counted in that population.
I got a question on that. Private schools or whatever,
Mhm.
are we reimbursed for that?
That would be a
No, that's
misjudgment.
equitable services, that
That's
we
what?
have equitable services. So
Equitable service.
we provide the service to the non-public schools.
Are our kids taken care of first?
Oh, yeah, but in every federal grant, we in Title I and in IDEA, 611 in preschool, we have to provide, if there are students who need services, because they're our students, but they're just, the parents are electing to send them to private schools. So, but we still have to provide services to them, not money. So how we do it in St. Martin Parish is we pay a certain percentage of a speech therapist salary, a certain percentage of eval coordinator salary, and we also pay for a resource teacher to provide them services. So, it's not a lot, but we still, as a requirement for federal funds, we have to provide them equitable services. So that's how we were able. So I have one, pupil appraisal staff member salary that's paid through equitable services, so much of a percentage with the non-public equitable services amount, and the remainder comes from IDEA. So they're completely federal funded. Same thing with the resource teacher to provide them services, and we have 2 students at St. Bernard that we're providing services to. And also a speech therapist, because we have a lot of kids that are receiving speech services as well at St. Bernard. Yeah, that's a requirement from the, yes,
Ma'am,
yes.
is this federally grant money that we're paying these people with, or is coming out of the school?
So many. We have so many that we're paying federal funds for. It's not all of them, because if we don't have federal funds, especially with students with disability, if that money is taken away from us, the district is still responsible to provide those services for the students. So some pupil appraisal staff are paid through federal funds, and some are paid through general funds.
Who's the, the percentage?
And I do know that we're required by the state to keep a maintenance of effort based on grant funding year to year. So we have to keep that up from the general fund perspective.
Regardless if we have the money or not from federal, we gotta provide.
Thank you. So lastly, we just want the board to understand that pupil appraisal is doing very important work in this parish, okay? We're identifying students in need of special education services in addition to ensuring that reevaluations are kept current. As such, we are an income producing department. We generate IDA revenue through the evaluations and reevaluations that we complete. I know some of you are already referenced the evaluation numbers. This was for last year. We did complete 297 initial evaluations, and the total number of reevaluations for the parish were 340. The total, because I think there was a question of speech therapists.
Yeah.
The speech therapists at the school level, they complete the reevaluations at the
So
school
who does
level.
most of the legwork? The teachers?
No,
Again,
we are. We are.
I'm talking to, what about the RTI?
That's after, that's before we come in to,
I'll check into it.
That's before we come into the picture. We're doing assessments, so academic assessments, IQ assessments, behavior assessments. We're analyzing data that the schools have given to us about the student performance. We're doing observations of the students in the schools. We're doing interviews with the parents, the students, the teachers. We're compiling all that information into an evaluation report. And based on the results of all of the evaluation testing, we're getting together and determining what disabilities, if any, those students have by meeting the criteria in Bulletin 1508 and presenting those findings to the school, providing them with recommendations and what supports that the students need to be successful in the school environment.
I'll make one last comment, so you go ahead, Ms. Wong.
So what about new students? How do y'all get new students?
That's the school, you need to do the evaluations,
Yeah, like let's say a child is struggling.
the schools are making referrals. Or parents are calling our, well, let's say for the school-age children, 9 times out of 10, the schools are making those referrals to us based on the data that the children are not
So y'all
finding.
look at the data just to.
We
go
are,
over that.
we do, it's in
We
the
are part of the
SBLC
SBLC
meetings and are part of the SBLC meetings where the data is being looked at. So we are in the schools already. We're participating in the SBLC meetings where from the beginning of the RTI process, when the deficits have been identified and when they're being put into tiers, and we're assisting the schools in making recommendations on what interventions need to be provided to the students to address any of the weaknesses that have been identified, and guiding the schools through the process and making the determination of when it's appropriate to initiate that evaluation, an initial evaluation. And then we sign them in and conduct the evaluation. And that, the flip side is the preschool population. Those referrals are coming through early steps transitions. I coordinate that transition between early steps and getting them into evaluate for services well, they're 2 years old, but they'll be turning 3. Or parents calling they call me as a child search coordinator to indicate that they have concerns for the development of their small child. And they come in, I screen them. If they're appropriate to go on for an evaluation, we conduct an initial evaluation for developmental delays. Mhm.
Sometimes we have like kindergarten going to the first grade and.
The school.
You have to hold them back or whatever.
Yeah, the school level it starts there, and they refer those children to us through the SBLC process.
And we're part of that process. A lot of times what we do is during our SBLC meetings, they'll have a question and they'll say, we need to keep this kid on our radar. So we're watching that child throughout the RTI process before they even come to us, and we take them in with the parent's permission to test. So we're following those students because we are part of the weekly SBLC meetings.
I'll just make one last comment.
Go ahead, Mr.
And I'll go back to what I originally said. We just gave everybody a $2,400 raise. Y'all got an additional raise because you're indexed. And then we're gonna reduce, you want us to reduce your hours. Me personally, if I get reduced hours, I get reduced pay. That's the life I live in. But if we do it for you guys, we have to do it for everybody. And it's not fair. And that's understandable. You know, it's not sustainable to continue to go that route. We're in the red already, and that's what we're trying to cut positions. And it's tough sitting right here telling people, look, we're gonna have to abolish a position because of whatever reason. And to me, it's not a good picture saying that you can reduce your hours. If you can reduce your hours and you stay at 8 hours, then that means that we need to cut staffing somewhere else. That's another way to look at it.
And, we're trying to be comparable with the parishes around us and get good people. We've had a high turnover in our office. And they come in, we train them, and they leave because it's.
That's our society. I mean, I see that in the regular world too, not the education. So.
I think I understand what she's trying to say, that, like the other parishes, like we gave them a raise, but we changed the index. I think if the index would have stayed higher, you would have been getting paid more, right?
Well, I mean, there's obvious disparity in the hourly pay.
They're saying per hour.
We're also working way more hours. No one understands why the whole appraisal is working.
One,
so many hours.
I have to disagree with you on that, because I'm gonna tell you, me, I'm gonna go tooth and nail for a teacher. Because
But not for us, though, right?
they are in that classroom with 30 kids or however many kids every day, handling discipline, handling parents, handling discipline, handling parents,
And
back
we're
and forth.
handling our caseloads too.
You know, so
We're at 100% compliance for our caseload. We have none that are out of timelines.
Yeah.
As well.
We have different responsibilities, like we
got
got
our
responsibility, we have different responsibilities.
Yeah.
What was the question?
that's all.
We do not write the IEPs. We provide them with the data that they need to write the IEP.
But I had a lot of parents complain about that department.
Yeah, we don't write the IEPs. We provide them with the data that they need to write the IEP.
We are there to support, to give
And we
recommendations.
give recommendations for what the students need.
But that,
Yes.
I had a lot of problems with parents.
And while we don't agree and whatnot that y'all stated, we do take our evaluation work home with us sometimes, and we do stay after hours to complete them. So even if 8 to 3:30 schedule was approved, when that work needs to get done, it will get done. We will put in the extra hours as we always have.
And the teachers do that too, and they also give money to
I
the
know they do
students,
it, but we're
things like
trying to
that
say we
too.
would like to have it open, like we played.
We do as well. I just gave my daughter's classroom abundance of supplies in addition to my sister-in-law's.
Thank y'all for your presentation.
Thank you for your time.
time.
Thank you.
I got a question.
I would like.
How many of y'all are doing this? How many are there?
There's 10 pupil appraisal evaluation coordinators. In addition to that, we have the speech pathologist coordinator and myself, the pupil appraisal and child search coordinator, so 12 of us.
Mr. Jordan?
Yeah, just to kind of piggyback on the ladies. They're in front of you guys again because of their index that was lowered and because the 8 to 3:30 was approved and then it wasn't approved. So I just want to make sure that you understand that a lot of the kids were not being evaluated like they should have because schools were not conducting SBLCs like they should have. So we have already met with principals to ensure that SBLC meetings take place on a weekly basis. All pupil appraisal staff are assigned at schools. So they're there to be in those SBLC meetings to offer their expertise. Again, they are specialists. They have an expertise that teachers don't have, the diagnosticians. They have been teachers, however, they have those certifications of the masters, of the +30s and whatnot to provide services for our students. So I just wanted to elaborate on that, because it's just about being fair.
I'll say one last thing on the index.
Okay,
Everybody's was reduced but one person, and she knows, and we know why it got increased was because of a pay. And so everybody's index is dropped, just so that you know.
okay, all right.
Okay.
We clear that.
Item 2E, consider and or recommend action with regard to vesting policy for group health insurance. Mr. Lawson.
Yes, sir. Effective, we brought this policy before the board, a recommendation for a change in this policy. So effective September 1st, person employed after August 31st of 2025 that are eligible for group health insurance must have at least 5 years of group health eligible service with our district or otherwise pay both a member and school board share of the retiree health insurance premium. And this is part of the reason so that we don't have employees who come in.
We're not supposed to vote.
Yeah, there's a motion. Was there ever a motion on the floor?
No more.
I
Well, yeah, but y'all did that.
You gotta say, raise your hand, say, I'll make a
Well, I
motion.
did.
Okay.
We did.
But you gotta
Well,
stay.
everybody
To
knows.
the next one.
Okay, let's go.
We need to make a motion on that, so they'll know.
You can always make the motion in the regular meeting. I mean, there's nothing that would prevent you from making a motion in the regular meeting.
Okay, well, let's continue with this and we'll come back to,
But they can do this when we go to the regular meeting, we'll come to this item, they can bring it up.
It's gonna have to be approved at the regular meeting one way or the other, so.
Okay.
So,
No problem.
so this is just a
When
committee.
you get to the regular meeting before that item there,
Yeah, I understand, I heard you say, thank you.
So I apologize, as I was mentioning, so personnel do not have to enroll in the plan, but their employment status must make them eligible for enrollment for a 5-year period before initial retirement. So in other words, they have to work 5 years before they can say, yes, I want the insurance so that I can retire with the insurance. Because what we were having in the past, and many of our neighboring districts do the same, sometimes even more than 5 years, when we were having, was employees were transferred from one district to St. Martin, work for 1 year and then retire, and then what it does is we were paying into their insurance and they hadn't been vested within St. Martin Parish.
But let's say they start, they're on our insurance, at first, it's when they go to retire.
Correct, they have to have over 5 years.
Right.
I like that concept, but, and I like the 5 years, but I keep on thinking of one person that we brought in, probably one of the better hires that I've seen on this board, and that was Ron LeBlanc. And we had to, if there's an unusual circumstance, I wish that we keep in our policy that if, like in his case, it's too complicated to start, but he came over from Lafayette Parish, and again, it was well worth the money.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah,
So-
and he stayed several years.
Yeah, he stayed, yeah, so, but it's just to say, I think we need to also leave it open in case you have a special person that comes out. And I'm not saying doesn't work 1 or 2 years.
I'd like to make a motion.
we should at least put in that clause that if that person had that, insurance with another group health, say for instance, another school system, then he's up.
But you don't understand, that's what we're trying to avoid,
Right.
because we have very rich benefits and very low premiums. So it is very easy for somebody to jump ship for 1 year and retire from us, and they're on our hook, on our liability for the rest of their lives.
I'd like to make a motion that, the staff would have to, be part of our system for 7 years before being invested. As in most of the companies I've seen or been with, it's 7 years.
We're 5.
Yeah, and I would say move it to 7, and any years that they have served already be counted in.
okay, I have a motion by Mr. Pucci to go for, you have to be vested, you have to work for 7 years. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Dorio. Any more discussion?
I'd like to make substitute that we go with staff recommendation,
With what?
with staff recommendation 5 years.
I like the 5, I'll second it. Either way.
I have a substitute motion by Mr. Pucci for 5 years to be vested. Second by Ms. Wanda. Let's vote. Motion passed.
That's for 5 years, correct?
5 years.
Okay, item 2F. Consider on the recommend action with regard to lease agreement with CDI for Cecilia at St. Martinville Head Start Facility. Ms. Pugel.
Miss Casey's actually gonna.
Okay.
Okay. This is just, CDI is currently, has taken over the Head Start grant until they can put it out and, get a permanent grantee. And we've never done this in the past, but we are recommending leasing the facility in St. Martinville and leasing the facility in, Cecilia. The Bridge facility, I believe we're not, because they own half, we own half. There's some things that need to be done there, so we didn't really get into that, but, so we're just recommending approving the leases. We have sent them to Mark, for his review.
Okay.
So, about the building that I asked you about, for the little kids, we're not getting any rent for that, right? It's just the other building, right?
Nicole can better explain what facilities are in, say, Martinville, who owns what and what's usable, because I know that there's multiple facilities there, but only two of them we fully own. I don't know who's in what, so Nicole would have to answer that
Now,
question.
the facility in Brookridge, they own that,
So they own part and we
building,
own part.
but that building that's been there for 1950, they don't own that building. They own the back part.
Right, that's what I said.
All of the buildings.
There's interest from us and them, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done there, so we didn't want to get into a lease agreement until we make a decision on what we're gonna do with that.
Right.
So the one in St. Martinville, Nicole?
Nicole, can you answer
Which
that?
building are you referencing? The
The
one on
brick
Martin
one.
Luther King or theater?
On Martin Luther King.
That's the one that we're leasing. That's the one that is the early head start. That's the one that used to belong to Smile and now belongs to school board. That's the building that's being leased. The one that's on Theater Street is always one that has been federal interest owned by the Head Start grant, just on school board property.
That's the building we use school board, probably to make a loan with.
No, the one on
It's
Martin
in
Luther King.
Martinville, that's the one.
I know, it's the one on Martin Luther King we use.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but she's talking about the other one.
Okay.
Okay,
Have a
second,
motion by Mr. Bouquet,
second,
second by, second,
Vito.
Juan. Okay, let's vote. Motion passed. Consider and or recommend action with regard to renewing contract with Pochet Pruitt. Mr. Chevalier.
Every year, Pruitt Architectural and Engineering Services is no longer Pochet. They normally send the contracts, and one of the contracts is building a maintenance program. And basically, it's helping to troubleshoot equipment failures, just assisting with any type of repairs, cooling towers, chillers. They do help out with our asbestos program, the re-inspections, so they just keep up with all of the data regarding the fire marshal and state agencies to keep the schools in compliance.
Mr. Clay.
Mr. Davis.
When I saw this item, it rang a bell that happened something in the past, and I decided to call Mr. Wilson and also Mr. Boyer. I was under the understanding that the contract pertaining to the architect part of it, architect and engineer, I was concerned that it would be tied into our bonds, and we need to keep it open because we need all our architects in the parish to at least get some of the business. And that was one of the concerns. But when I was speaking with Mr. Boyer, he kind of pointed something out. It's there is a seven-day termination contract, but there's some ties in there. He suggested that basically, you might consider making a recommendation that either party would be able to terminate it, but the agreement would be within 30 days and make sure that, understand that all work performed, that, to that date would be paid for. So I would, pass it over to Mr. Boyer, just to kind of reiterate,
Yeah, most of our contracts with providers has a notice requirement that if we want to get out or they want to get out, then we give notice. When I talked to Ms. Davis, I suggested 30 days. Anything they do up to that 30-day period, we've got to pay them, obviously. But it just, if we're not happy or if we want to move in a different direction, it gives the board the opportunity to say, look, 30 more days of work and then we're going to go in a different direction if we want to. And that's pretty standard in most of our agreements. I didn't see it in this one.
for that part, what do they actually do underneath the architecture? What would be some examples that they?
I think last year, I don't think they had anything regarding architecture last year.
It's only
So-
upon request of them. It's only if we request them to do work for us.
Well, we
It
could
is
also,
not,
we could also request somebody else.
yes, it doesn't tie us to them. They
I'm not
just,
trying to cut them off, or anything.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that everybody gets.
they
it
just, yeah, it's only at our request.
Because they have employees from St. Martin Parish also, so I'm good with that.
I'd like to table it to see what other companies have to offer.
So you'd like for a request for bids? What you're saying?
Bid for what?
Well, to see what other companies offering us.
If you have a project, couldn't you just wait and put that out for bid?
But it's not,
Well, no, it's not a project.
it's about that contract pertaining to the chiller student. I didn't read the whole contract. So
There's-
we
there's
normally
several-
we normally pay them like $37,000. I don't see no money down.
There's two of them.
Yeah, one is 27, not to exceed 27,000, the other one is not to exceed.
But what my understanding, you have several other companies in the Lafayette area.
Yeah.
You know, you got Star, you got some other companies. We might want to seek some bids from them, and they might have a different, perspective as far as, you know, doing our chillers and doing the ambassador work.
When
Maybe
does this
wanna follow
contract
up.
need to be done?
This is, in my personal opinion, it's too late to do that this year because we will have nobody in that timeframe.
It's too late for this year.
Yes, but I think you could start the process in January and do it for the renewal of next year if you wanted to go out for RFP for
We could do them a temporary contract.
building system maintenance and the fire marshal stuff. Everything else is on an as-needed basis. We're not tied to them for any particular thing. Those two, we are.
Yeah, well, I know we're not tied to them, but they have several other companies, maybe we can get them a bid. We've been bidding out them for over 20, 30 years.
They're
And I
responsible.
know it's gonna take that much money to operate a chiller. You can get me, pay me, $10,000 a year, and I'll take care of the chiller. I'm just saying.
Do they do our oxidation ponds too? Or?
If we need any assistance from them, I just have to call.
So we're gonna review this contract or what?
Wanda made a motion.
Table it until next month, so we can look into other companies.
When's their contract?
You can't do it.
It ended June 30th. We're behind the ball on this.
Can't do it.
I'll give them a temporary 6-month contract.
We already have it.
They may not agree to that. And then we're gonna be stuck without anything.
Well, I'll make a motion, we accept it, and in January, start looking for other bids.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Poche to accept. Mr. Poche, I'm sorry. To accept, second.
Well, I'll say.
Shoot the leg. Any more discussion? Let's vote. Motion passed. Item 2H, consider and or recommend action with regard to annual SNIDA contribution.
Move to accept.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Iber, second by Mr. Poche. Let's vote. In general fund, must say, budget to actual comparison, nothing, Mr.
No action needed.
Okay, thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Mr. Poche to adjourn.
We still got.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My bad.
Board numbers quick.
Okay.
It'll be quick.
Discussion by Mr.
Oh, this is only for discussion. Been having a lot of talk with different people, and there's the possibility of an audit came up. And I would like my fellow board members just to kind of feel out for people, see if there's a need for it. And if there's a need for it, what type of audit we're gonna have. And if we do an audit, to understand that what the cost is gonna be related to. So that would, and you know, there's different types of audit, there's, you know, that you can do. But I know we get an audit from Shaw Fine and them every year, but that's basically giving information to them and then telling us. But what we're looking at is something like a forensic audit would be, if you do that, it's for fraud, you know, things like that, you know. And with this, you have audits that you can come in and see if money's all being put in the right place, doing the right thing. It's up to you guys. Just feel it out and see if there's any.
You do, I mean,
I will say that with the federal funds that we receive, those are, that's an independent audit that's done by the state. So,
You just had that, right?
that's correct. And what you'll see is the color code that you had is the ESSER 2 and the APR ESSER 3 formula, consolidated program debt monitoring. And if you take a look at it, you'll see that it basically said that there were no findings in various categories of information that needs to be submitted to them and processes in terms of purchases, as well as certain amounts that need to be held in reserve, and whether or not RFP and titles or plans were submitted. So that's just part of it. It's not necessarily coming from the people who do our yearly audit, but this is something that's independent. So again, as I mentioned to Mr. Abear, it's totally up to you. And he brought up a valid point. If you do the type of audit that I believe you're asking for, it's going to cost you a lot of money.
It's going to be the same thing as our annual audit. Our auditors are certified by the Louisiana Legislative Auditor. They have to be, because if not, the Louisiana Legislative Auditor's Office would come into our school and do it in the same manner. They are looking for fraud, ethics violations, law violations. They look at everything thoroughly. If a revenue is classified, they trace it back. What is it for? Is it classified correctly? They check all of that. So I'm not sure what else, other than accusing someone of doing something inappropriate, would you be looking for?
Right.
And they're not gonna give St. Martin Parish a pass and slam a neighboring parish in an audit. They're not gonna do that. And as Ms. Casey mentioned, I understand that there's conversations that have been had and people have questions in terms of certain dollars, but I go out on a limb and say that nobody's doing anything inappropriate with the federal dollars and the money that we're receiving.
I'm like this here. I read the Bible before I read something. I know that's something you want, but I leave that up to the people. 6 of us are gonna be leaving this board. If you don't want to open the can of worms, that's not fair.
Let's everybody want to do your next one?
Yeah, we'll do the next one.
You know,
Also,
you want,
conditions.
2 more years from now, want to do an audit, let them do it.
Instead of having two positions regular, then I can down to 2. And again, I cannot mention any names, and and it's just a discussion for you guys to research it. One of the positions is an HR position that we added a supervisor over the past, year or so. And the way I'm gonna word it is that the duties of that position is no longer needed because of the changes in the system. Basically, we've gotten out Head Start. That's one of the big things that she told us that she needed it for. So I think we probably could do without that position, being that we're gonna be, losing kids for one thing, and then the other is that we don't have as many HR concerns. The other position is a computer department position. Duties are currently being performed by other people, and they're being absorbed by other people. And again, I can't say any names, but this would be a good place to start when we start reducing. And if these individuals are close to retirement, maybe, have staff talk to them. And the other one, the HR person, I would like to make sure she's not done wrong. Hopefully she can go back to her original position or here, I don't even know the name of the person in that position, go back to the way they were before. Because the one thing I don't want to do is do harm to anybody.
I will tell you that with the enormous responsibility that we have with this desegregation case in terms of the scrutiny that we've been held under with human resources, it would be impossible for one person to do it. And I'm gonna use the example. And if you think back to what Judge Foote, her comments in reference to human resources at the time where the information that she requested was not presented in an appropriate manner, and she slammed us for it. That is a big part of the reason why you've always had 2 people you had a director and you had a supervisor in that department. And what happened is when a previous employee was not made a director, the director's position was removed from that, but you always had 2 people in that role. I have the information. I'm gonna make copies of it so that I can give all of the information to you in terms of the number of certifications that are required to be done, the requirements for the job fairs. It has to be a biracial committee of the human capital department that goes out to do it. All of that information has to be submitted to the judge as well as to the attorneys, because they're scrutinizing who is on the interview committee, who are we hiring, what certifications we have, and it's a tremendous job. And I would not want that. I would not want that job. And it would be hard for just one individual to be able to keep up with everything that we're being asked to do particularly by the court. That's just, I just have to make y'all aware of it.
I think part of that problem, what you said about the courts, wasn't our staff, it was our attorneys. That's my opinion, that didn't do the right thing. That's my opinion.
I don't wanna speak it, but in terms of what happened,
I have a question.
We over time.
Well,
I can discuss it at the regular meeting. Okay. A motion by Mr. Pucci, second by Mr. Abear. Meeting adjourned.
I'd like to call the regular board meeting. Mr. Wilson, please lead us in prayer.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Dear Lord, we come before you seeking your guidance as we navigate through the issues today. May our words be thoughtful, our actions just, and our focus remain on the well-being of our students and staff. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, any announcements, acclamations?
Mr. President, what I'd like to do is wait until next month's board meeting to make the announcement, the acclamation in reference to our Louisiana Elementary Teacher of the Year. And I'd like to recognize her at that particular meeting. She unfortunately could not be here tonight because of orientation at her school, but I'd like to be able to have her present as well as the faculty and staff from her school. But I'd like to do that next week.
Yes, sir. Southern Scripts,
And that, I'll make that announcement at
Next month?
Next month's meeting.
next month, okay? Any additions or deletions to the agenda? If none, okay, we'll go to, any items on the consent agenda that need to be removed to discuss. If
Well, I
none,
wanted
yes.
to talk about what Mark had said.
That'll be in finance. All right.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Motion.
Do you have a second? Please vote. Wasn't Ms. Wendy, it wasn't clear?
Oh, sorry.
You do it again?
Yeah, we'll need to do it again. Please vote. Okay, motion passes. Okay, no items pulled from agenda. Finance Committee, Ms. Vital, you would like to hold which one?
4D, correct? 4D,
Yeah.
Which one?
4D.
4D.
D?
D.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
But I
Okay,
also wanted to talk about what Mark had said about, on the last item, about paying people out, like to cut the budget. Can we do that, Mark? Can, like, if somebody has, like,
Well,
is gonna
often,
retire
you
in
talk about
November?
severance package?
Yeah,
We can,
can we do that?
I don't know that he's talking about, but sure, you can have severance packages. You can separate somebody and.
Like if they leave it in October, November, or December, and they still have time, and
Well,
that position is gonna be available once they leave.
a severance package has to be part of a compromise. Generally, it's associated with an employment action. But I think Ms. Dare is talking about abolishing positions, and that's only the board can abolish positions.
Oh, no, I thought you were talking about something different. You were talking about abolish that position?
Abolish. Well,
Okay.
if that person's gonna be, let's say we abolish the position, and that person is going to retire 2 months. Well, let's let them go out to 2 months, finish it out.
Oh, okay. I thought
That
you
way
wanted
you
to
can
say-
rehire somebody else.
No, you abolish the position.
No, you
You
abolish it, but if you pay them out, then you still have that position. That's what I was talking about.
all right. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to accept Finance Committee recommendations except for item B to be discussed. Motion by Mr. Abraham, second by Mr. Steve. Please vote. Motion passes. Okay, item D, consider and recommend action with regard to reduction of pupil appraisal staff work hours to 7 hours per day. Ms. Vical,
I'd like to make a motion.
go ahead.
What's the motion?
What's the motion?
Oh, that
We accept the
Yeah.
7 hours
yes.
they want. Staff recommendation.
Do I have a substitute motion? Okay, well, let's vote on this. Item is rejected. Let's move on to new business. Consider and take action with respect to adopting a resolution approving the acceptance of the bid for the purchase of general obligation school bonds, Series 25 of St. Martin Parish District, Louisiana, and providing for other matters in connection therewith. Ms. Russo?
I'm gonna defer to Mr. Grant, you're our bond counsel, and, Mr. Steve Nosaka.
Great news. The first 10 million out of the 30 million that was authorized by the voters was sold yesterday morning. Pursuant to your prior resolution, you authorized the superintendent to receive competitive sealed bids for the purchase of the bonds. That was done, and this was after the superintendent and Ms. Casey and ourselves had extensive discussions with the bond rating agency, and they did maintain your A+ rating. What is notable to me, and I know Steve's going to have some comments on the sale process because he talked to a lot of the bidders and got a lot of interest going for your bonds. But the things that I noticed was, one, 6 bids submitted, 6 bidding syndicates. That's a high number. That's one of the higher numbers we get for these types of bond sales. Number 2, the interest rate, the winning interest rate, 4.28%, 4.28. We've had a lot of bond sales within the last few weeks. This is one of the better ones. You did extremely well. With adoption of this will simply set forth the details of the sale that the superintendent concluded yesterday. The monies will be available September 4 for projects. And in addition to the 10 million, you received a bid premium from the purchaser of $422,000 and change. That'll go into the construction account also, and that'll be additional monies for projects. Steve?
And why do we get this 400?
It's a bid premium from the purchaser. They pay it to us.
Thank you.
Based on the credit and the demand for your bonds. There were bidders that were willing to pay, the bidder was willing to pay more for a portion of those bonds. They feel like they're attractive enough to sell them in the market at a premium, and as a result, they were able to accomplish that. So it really is, it's good for school districts that know how to navigate troubled times. So it is the case. Go ahead.
I got a question,
Yes,
a question on those funds right there. Are we restricted on those funds as we are with the 10 million?
Construction funds, you're right. You are restricted as you are for the.
I just wanted to clarify.
It has the same nature as the whole 30 million. It's for projects that you approved, and there's no difference. It's part of the bond proceeds.
It reminds me of questions I get.
Once you complete those projects, then you can.
Absolutely, absolutely. Any additional projects that the board determines.
Right, that meet those, the construction criteria that you already laid out in the master.
We mentioned the lower interest rate and the rate that you received. The low rate was what, 4.28%? We've had a number of other school boards and other entities that have sold recently. And for a higher rated entity, we were having sales between 4.5% and 4.6% interest rate. So yours is substantially lower and not quite as high a bond rating. So you compared very, very well. We were very excited on the call yesterday. It was excellent.
A lot of work with the rating agency, Standard & Poor's. We've rated the bonds in the past, and it becomes, with the financial challenges that all school districts in Louisiana have had and nationwide, and what you've had over the last couple of years, it required administration to spend. This is Casey and Mr. Wilson to spend more time, telling the St. Martin Parish School Board story about what things you've done, what things you put in, what actions, what strategies you put in place from a financial management standpoint, and that fared well, and that was received well, and that we maintained that rating. We're also able to get bond insurance when it came time to sell bonds too. So all of those attest to the quality of the credit which is a reflection on you. That's why we have such good news, but it's good news about you guys.
And Steve and I were very pleasantly surprised. We weren't aware, but I was talking to Ms. Casey right before the meeting about making the alteration to your fund balance policy pursuant to some discussions we had with Standard & Poor's on that rating call. Lo and behold, it's on the agenda tonight, so that's very good. You all move quickly. Thank you.
Thank y'all. Okay, do I have a motion to accept the bid? Motion by Mr. Clay, second by Mr. Steve. Let's vote. Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all
Appreciate
very
it.
much.
I'll try this, sir.
Mr. Wilson, you called me this September report is right around the corner. I have some projects I need to do. And I don't need no architecture. I don't need no committee, I'm trying to $6 million tell me what to do.
Yes, sir. All right, next item on the agenda,
If they
board
want
members
to
request.
let them get it.
A, discuss equal staffing in schools. Mr. Abear?
Thank you, Mr. Forty. All I'm asking staff to do is because when we did the budget cuts last time, it was my understanding, I thought we were gonna come back and get the square footage of our building, which I think we did, and also look at the number of students we have and come back with equal staffing. Now, Mr. Wills did call me up and he did take issue with a couple of items that I had brought up to him as far as equal staffing goes. But my point is, just to kind of give you guys that, when we have a school that has 800 kids and we have a school that has 400 kids, and I'm just using the numbers, and we have the same staff, there's something wrong. I'm not trying to say take away from that 400, but at least give those that have the higher numbers, if they, go sit down, talk to the principals, kind of weigh it out, see if we do need extra staffing, whatever it is. If it's with the maintenance part of it, or if it's classroom teachers, whatever.
Yeah, well, my thinking on that is the maintenance portion of it needs to be by the square footage and the amount of work that needs to be done in those particular schools.
Yes.
Because some schools with maybe 2 maintenance personnel, that might not be enough.
Right.
Whereas, they might need 3, or whatever. And some of them, maybe can get away with 2, or have enough of 2.
If you have a good worker,
Yeah. If you have good workers, 2 should be enough on a regular school, but we have added a lot of buildings.
Yes.
We have added a lot of facilities. And I think we need to start looking at square footage and the needs of those facilities and the needs of like the football fields and such.
Well, and
We may have to hire maybe 1 maintenance person to go to all 3 football fields and maintain them.
Because we
Where it
spend a lot of
doesn't
money.
interfere with anything else. All they do is maintain the football, because those are expensive fields and those turfs are gonna be costly if we gotta replace them. So it may pay us to put 1 maintenance person to take care of those fields specifically.
And the buildings in that area.
And yes, what I'm
Because-
saying is the fields.
Yeah,
The-
and
whatever's in
you
the
made a
field.
good point. We're spending all this money with bond money and everything. And we want to make sure that we keep those facilities up. Because if you neglect them, just like your own personal house, if you don't paint every 5 years, or maybe even less, it was gonna start to rot, or if you don't follow up on it. So that's all I wanted to discuss as far as that goes. I think.
Oh, he has a question.
Yes, sir.
My question is, do y'all include the acreage of the grass and that has to be cut? Because you're saying square footage. When I hear square footage, I'm thinking of a building.
I'm thinking the whole facility, like you got a lot of grass.
Right.
So I would think that would be included in, me personally. Because.
I mean, we lost a custodial position, and we still have the same number of classrooms, all those classrooms are still being used. We still have the grass to cut, we still got.
Well, while we're talking about staffing, maybe have, and I brought this up a couple of meetings ago, and again, another parish gave me that idea, is that we have employees, and they use their coaches, is what they do. They use their coaches and they add to their salary. They don't hire the custodian. They'll add to their salary for them keeping up the facilities, and it's Calcasieu Parish, by the way, so you can maybe call and check that out.
When you mentioned that, I mentioned it to some of those coaches.
What they thought about
it? A number of them were very excited. They were looking for opportunities to do that.
Extra funds.
But I'm not saying every school's gonna, every coach is gonna wanna do it, but some schools may have.
And look, if you have a super janitor, we used to have one, Mr. Joe. That guy there, you didn't need anybody else, but, for the most part. But it's just a sick.
All right, Mr.
But
Bojangles?
just say, he said he lost a custodian, but, we restored those custodians as those teachers, back.
No, but
So
y'all
you
did the maintenance, the parish-wide maintenance
We
custodian.
did maintenance, custodian, and teachers.
No,
I remember Mr.
you
Bojangles.
adopted a custodian, you adopted a formula for staffing custodians the meeting before.
Yeah, the
And
first
so
time we voted, then we rescinded it at the last meeting.
You voted on that as a separate standing item at the meeting before.
But something happened.
You put it back on the.
I remember, but, it was
Well,
either
just
Mark
like
or
you
somebody
have to
said,
keep up your own house, you have to
we
keep
will
up your own
keep the
checkbook,
teachers,
and if
and
you
we will
keep taking
keep
from
the
your savings,
custodians.
you're not gonna be able to pay anybody, so y'all
And we will
continue
keep
to
the
just run
custodians.
it like that.
I remember somebody, it was motion, that's the reason why I voted.
Again, she just made a point, but I'm gonna have to say something in return, Casey. That's why, when I said we took more from the schools than we did from central staff.
We did not, we lost positions across the
I
board. We
agree, but-
looked at it individually, department by department, and everybody gave something up. Your biggest bang for your buck is student-teacher ratio. I mean, you really have to sit down and look at it, and I'd be more than willing to sit with any of you without a quorum and go through what we went through. We cannot continue at this rate. I don't know what y'all don't understand.
We understand.
They have to do
that
a
we got-
reduction of
we got
force.
some money.
It's
We
gonna
got on
ultimately
board.
end up affecting
30
more
years
than
ago,
it would
it
have
was a $2 million
affected.
deficit. We understand that.
Okay.
All right, any more discussion, Mr. Abraham? on that?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, next item, discuss routing system.
Next item is, the bus transportation. What's the name of the program that we have?
That's fine.
My understanding for the past year and a half, I thought we were gonna go in there and take account of how many students we have on each bus. And I don't think we're doing, according to the last meeting, Mr. Will said that's not what we're doing. Because that's the only way we can reduce number of routes, is combine them, consolidate. And it's, obviously, it's not gonna be in the making, because it sounds like we don't have enough information and all this.
But I'll give Ms. Tina and Mr. John an opportunity to speak about the process that thankfully, I have to commend them. We're securing a lot of drivers, and I don't know where they're coming from, but thank God they're coming. So that process that they're doing to consolidate routes that didn't have anybody. So that was a massive undertaking, getting all of those combined. You're essentially eliminating routes that were vacant in that process. And then what you're doing is you're taking, I'll use, I don't know, use Miss Edna. Miss Edna was on a route. Mr. Coach Durio had a route, or wasn't working anymore, but his route was still there. We've taken his route, because he's no longer there, and consolidated it with those roads. And Ms. Johnson now has that one route with those children that were on the route that Coach had. So once all of that information is compiled, then we'll be able to say, okay, let's put that information in TransFinder, because you're essentially eliminating routes, because all of the routes that we had they were calling buddy routes, but were true buddy routes because we had nobody on the route. Those routes are kind of being eliminated, but I'll give them the opportunity to kind of clarify that too.
Yes. If you look at the form that I gave you all, you'll see if you see two buses together, that means that we consolidated. We took those bus routes and we put them together. Now, we do still have some open routes, but keep in mind that we've lost a lot of bus drivers. We have been working diligently on this to make everything work, and we have had a number of new drivers come in, something like six so far that has come in. But we still have, in the Robridge area, we have 339, 355, and 380. Well, 355 is being taken over by a new person, and 385. So we're looking at taking those two routes and going between 423 and 385 and trying to combine those to try to make it run. We're just trying to have a solution so that when school does open, we don't have a lot of children left behind. So by doing this, and once we see a complete count of what we have, then we can go to the TransFinder program and put what we need to put. But for right now, our main concern is getting these students to school on time with transportation.
So Ms. Tina, eventually, or Mr. Williams, so eventually we will, and this is what I see. I see buses leaving in the afternoon, 4 or 5 kids on, and after they make their runs. Those, and a lot of it has to do with car line pickups, the riders. So my question is how are we gonna offset that? Because that's where we start combining and we eliminate more bus routes that way, and we can save money.
Exactly, and what we've done by combining, we freed up some buses, okay? Right now, Mr. John Downs is asking for extra drivers for his program. So, but I need to fulfill my obligation first to my department and get this done. And I did refer to him, one lady that's looking to do it, but as soon as we get more in and we combine and do what we have to do, there'll be some extras. We're still waiting on some more employees or potential employees to come on in to take over some of these routes. We had some court ordered routes that were open, our M to M. We know that that was a main priority, so we had to put someone on it because we didn't want to have any problems with the judge. So that has been taken care of. We only have, like I said, three routes, and it's because we have one sped driver that recently retired. And if we would have known earlier when we did a bid on the sped buses, that bus would have been taken care of as well. So right now, we're just trying to get these together, which we will. We've been working diligently to get all of this done so that it can work and move smoothly for us.
Thank you.
And essentially, what'll happen is with the combining of those routes that were vacant, you're eliminating the quote buddy routes that were used. If Ms. Johnson is out sick for 2 days and we have to cover her route, yes, that we'll consider that a buddy route. But if for some reason Ms. Johnson would say, I quit, my route is empty, we're not gonna consider that a buddy route because who's she buddying? She no longer works for us. So we're getting rid of all that. And the bus drivers were made aware of that at Ms. Tina's back to school transportation meeting. So the only time the buddy system would be in place is if a true employee has to be out for a day or two or whatever, but not a route that's vacant. So we're working on making sure we don't have any vacant routes so that we eliminate, because it was costing the district a lot with these vacant routes that were being considered buddy routes at that time.
All right.
Mark, can I say something? I need to say something because something that was just said about Mr. Downs and his program. That is not Mr. Downs' program. That is also a court-ordered program for
And it's
the
an inland
magnet
route as
school.
well.
Yeah.
Yes, I understand that.
It's got to be a priority.
I understand that.
We have drivers, driving less than an hour. Those are the ones that need to be picking up more so that we have availability to sustain these out-of-zone routes and getting these kids to
And
and from
that's
the
our
magnets.
purpose. That's the reason why we're
Now, that I
doing this,
understand.
for those particular
But
drivers.
Those drivers who driving now is very efficiency. I know that's in the rural area. Cause I know some of the drivers, that's why we never had problem with transportation. And we're fixing to get some problem. They were driving an hour, but they had up to 120 students. Pick up primary, drop them where they're supposed to drop them, get along with the parent, no problem. Now y'all causing problem with that TransFinder, especially the rural area. I see you do it in the C area, if they want, the rural area, the St. Monica area, but the rural area, you causing some problems. That first day of school, I never had problems before 30 years. I guarantee you, I'm gonna have a million calls.
We haven't started.
Well, I'm saying when they started, they got to be some problems.
All right. Next item is the discussion appearances.
Yes, one thing I like the principal is the parents. When I drive around and it's throughout the parish, we need to grab our weed eaters and start weeding. I mean, you have grass that's growing and all of a sudden they're gonna round up and the dead grass is this tall in some places. I mean, it makes no sense. Tell the janitors to get out there and weed eat, and then once it's weed eated, then you come back and do the roundup. Plus, the overgrown vines on schools, that's another one. Grass growing up on fences in areas. So please, I know last year Mr. Dodger got hit up pretty hard on some of these, instances in our area. And again, it's gonna happen again if we don't hurry up and clean up these campuses for the first day of school. That was my big thing.
Yeah, there's no roundup. You have to weed eat. There's no roundup.
Why is there no roundup?
We have to get it to be certified.
But we don't need it because that's cost. So let them weed eat.
All right, next item, discuss adding a position or a college student at the print shop, Mr. Poche.
I just need to ask two questions about it again. How many college students we still have working in the school system?
None, that was, before y'all made the motion, because that was one of our recommendations, for maybe 10, I think it was around 10. The recommendation at the print shop is because I went and personally looked through the books at the print shop and looked at the number of jobs, and there were days there were no jobs, there was days that there was one job. The day that I went to visit, there were 2 people sitting around that had nothing to do.
Okay. Well, my question, you didn't answer my question. You didn't answer my question. Sounded like you got a vendetta with the print shop.
No, I'm saying there were 10 COE workers
course,
that we
every
eliminated.
department, you might walk in, I might walk in your office, you might be told me something, I don't know that. But my question was, how many college students do we still have working?
None, y'all, the board voted to eliminate all COE positions, so that means there are no COE positions anywhere, period.
Okay. I remember, approximately 20-some years ago, we had a print shop, Mr. Cliff did. Mr. Wilson used to go help him in the evening, school board fair. Then, he was shorthanded. Come around this time, they have a workload. Not every job you're gonna have a workload every day, especially the print shop. Now, if you go to the print shop right now, go visit right now.
Maybe summertime I could
It's-
understand
it's
and
It's a workload and a half.
Maybe,
It's stacked up that high.
maybe during the summertime there could be a special request, but I am telling you that.
Yeah, the day you went, of course.
No, but I didn't just
It's like any
base
other
it
print
on the
shop.
day I went. I looked at the log of print jobs and the number of print jobs that were requested and done on a daily basis. And I'm telling you,
That's because
So-
sometimes
No,
the
hold
job
on,
that we
hold on.
do,
Yeah,
it
hold on.
takes a few
You
minutes.
gotta wait till I finish. So what I'm gonna ask, that, as long as we had a print shop, we always had 1 or 2 individuals in the print shop. You can't operate a print shop with only 1 person. I did some research. Katy Parish, I got the phone numbers too. Call that person, that's 783, I got proof. They got 3 people. How big is the Katy Parish?
they might do more in-house printing than we
She
do.
been there 20 years. And they're both full-time. The other one, 3 years. And then they got 2 printers. Evangeline Parish. They have 3 people. They're approximately our size. They have a print shop, 3 people in it. Vermilion Parish, 3 people. They got 3 machines. 1 color printer, and they do work from K to 5 and what have you. St. Landon have 2. Lafayette Parish contract, but they got a hell of a good deal because Lafayette Parish is large. So we're the only print shop with 1 person in it. Regardless, the print load right now, if you go and visit right now, it's out there, you see a workload. I guarantee you, the workload they have at print shop will not be finished until probably the mid of September.
And the machine.
And there's only 1 individual in that print shop. 20 years ago, we started using a few college students. We had so much work in that print shop, it went up to 3. Now, you got supervisors sending their work load over there. I don't know, Mr. Jordan, you send your workload to the print shop sometime? No, you do your own print. Now some schools, they have a central location where the teachers, the supervisors have to go to that location with no printers in their office. So we need to make up our mind. We're gonna remove all the printers out of the office. Everybody who needs to go print, gonna go print to the shop in the evening.
They
On their
print
way
to their
back.
copy machine at their school.
Well, I'm talking
At
about
work.
if they wanna print like maybe 100 page, 200 page, you know, where they send to the print shop.
That should be being,
So if we're gonna have one person, we ought to think about, well, if you need something printed, you need a book, then you go sit with the printer, run your booklet out with the printer. That's gonna be a way to solve some of that problem.
I'd like to make a recommendation. I think what staff needs to do is possibly meet with the printer and see which times of the year he needs help and how much help. And then make an offer to the students where he could hire them during those months. Because there are some months where there's nothing there.
right now they're doing
I
handbooks.
know as a principal, over the summer, I had teachers that had requested things to be printed, to be ready for when school started. And if the printer does not have the assistance necessary, it won't get done. So these teachers are gonna start school without what they requested.
It's gonna get done.
So my recommendation is that we talk to the printer, see which months are needed assistance, and supply that with the students again.
Yeah, I don't disagree that the workload during the summer is higher because there are a lot of things that they need. Also, a lot of things that they used to do in the summer are now electronic and not hand printed. We also used to do all of the curriculum for Eureka. We don't do that anymore in the print shop. So there's a lot that has been reduced from there, but I don't disagree with the statement about summer.
That's why I'm suggesting that we get with the printer, staff gets with the printer, and see when the need is, and supply him with some help at that time. Because that way it'd be more efficient, not only for him, but for the schools.
But if you think the print shop is not efficient, why didn't your recommendation be to shut it down?
Well, honestly, I'm gonna do a study and determine if it is cost efficient, more cost efficient to keep it open or to outsource. That is a project for this year. That is.
Well, you might as well. If you want to have one person that it won't deliver.
That former printer, yeah, that would be a real good call.
Huh?
Exactly.
Oh, exactly.
That's what I'm saying. But yeah, he was always walking the streets.
All right, that was discussion on, so next item is to adjourn to executive session. We have a motion. Mr. President.
Ms. Rose wanted to make a.
Ms. Rose, go ahead.
I'm not finished.
Yes, I want to say that the machines, when they break down, I only have one that I'm purchasing. Sometimes they don't come in a day or two, even toner for the machine. Now they're monitoring it. A lot of times I have so much work, the toner lasts maybe a day or two. So they monitoring it and they're telling me that it's not time for me to have ink for my machine. I'm staying after work because I have so much work. It's hard to catch up. When the machine breaks, that means that I'm pushing more. I'm pushing so much until the machine get hot. I have to stop running it for a while. I'm not only running the printing machine. I run the restore machine, cutting machine, the poly wagon machine. It's a process. I can't just take the print request, put the work in, and print it out. I just got a load of work where I had to separate it and make books that took a day and a half for me to make it to put in the machine. So it is a process. Every job I do in there is a process. I just can't print it out and go to the machine and print it out.
Mr. Butcher?
Well, I was getting to, now, we got some departments, you know, you have two individuals with one individual. I don't want to name the position, but, you know, I seen this for myself. Now, what them two individuals doing? I gave Fred the names of that position. You know, I went around the school board office, said like, Mark, you know, I might have to just decide to, you know, take the bull by the horn and just,
Do what you gotta do.
come over here and make some cuts, and if it passes, pass it, don't it, no.
All right,
Mr. President, I'd like to.
Yes, sir.
And I apologize for getting this. I'd like to give Dr. Downs an opportunity to kind of explain or tell you about the advisory committee. It's part of our magnet process, but we're advertising for members to be as part of our magnet advisory committee. So I'll give him an opportunity.
Yes, sir. Thank you. That's basically what he just said. So part of our magnet plan is that we have to have an advisory board that meets monthly, and we have to open that up for applications. It was open last week, and it's open for 3 weeks. And we need to announce that at the school board, so that's what we're doing. There's online application, there's also paper applications that they can pick up at schools or at the central admin office.
Now, is that different areas or just one area for everybody or?
There's different, the magnet plan outlines different areas and membership options, and then there's some subcommittees that go to each of the magnet schools.
So that's parish-wide?
Yes, sir.
Parents,
Teachers, community organizations, absolutely.
All right.
Thank you.
That's it? Okay, at this time, I entertain a motion to adjourn the executive session. Motion?
We don't have it. We don't have it.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
I have a couple things I'd like to discuss.
Exposure.
It's on the-
That stays on there, standing.
It's concerning these sections.
Okay.
So I'd like to entertain a motion to go into executive session. Motion by Mr. Poche, second by Mr. Stelman.